Sri Buddha Prakash Garu and our CMD SPDCL Musharraf Garu and other distinguished guests. మీ అందరికి కూడా నమస్కారం. As you all know, we have recently announced Telangana Rising 2047. It is not just a document. It's our pledge to the future. We have set an ambitious target to transform Telangana into a $3 trillion economy by 2047. I want to ground us in the numbers. Today, Telangana's economy is approximately $185 billion economy. To reach $3 trillion economy by 2047, we need to grow roughly 16-fold in just 22 years. Mathematically, this requires a compound annual growth rate of 13.5% in dollar terms, roughly 17 to 18% in rupee terms, accounting for currency depreciation. To put this in historical context, no major Indian state has sustained that level of dollar growth for 2 straight decades. Even during India's best growth phases, states like Gujarat or Karnataka average 11 to 12% nominal growth over long periods. We can attempt to do something unprecedented in Indian economic history. Business as usual growth of 10% also gets us to maybe $1 trillion or $1.2 trillion, not just not $3 trillion. The gap between $1 trillion and $3 trillion is what economists call the productivity gap. And filling that gap is the sole purpose of this pen. But numbers are easy to write on paper. The real question is, the question that keeps me wondering is how. We cannot reach a $3 trillion economy simply by working harder. We cannot get there just by building more roads or constructing more buildings. Though we will do that too, to reach this exponential growth, we need to change the fundamental equation of our economy. The equation is simple. Capital plus innovation equals productivity. I once again repeat, the capital plus innovation equals productivity. Capital plus innovation equals productivity. And productivity is the only sustainable way to raise the wages and dignity of the common citizen in Telangana. For decades, government in India have viewed themselves as regulators. We focused on permissions, licenses, and fines. We patted ourselves on the back for improving the ease of doing business. But the world has changed. In the era of deep tech, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing, ease of doing business is just a baseline. It is the minimum requirement now. If we want to be the innovation capital of Asia, we must move from ease of doing business to ease of innovating. We must move from just clearing files to creating ecosystem. Our vision document outlines a spatial strategy: cure, urban, pure, peri-urban, and rare, rural. We have the plan, we have the talent, but innovation is expensive. And more importantly, innovation is risky also. Banks love safety, but innovation requires failures. History tells us that the biggest breakthroughs from the internet to space travel happened because someone was willing to make a high-risk idea for 10 years before it made a single rupee of profit. So the challenge for this panel today is to tell us, how do we unlock that capital? As we as a state are ready to evolve, we are ready to move from being just a regulator to being a catalyst, a partner that shares the risk to reap the rewards for our people. I'm here today not just to speak, but listen. We have a brilliant panel of innovators, investors, policymakers, and entrepreneurs. We want to get straight to the heart of the matter with 3 specific questions. Number one, the productivity versus jobs. Paradox: there is a fear that higher productivity equates to automation and job losses. How can we hope to address it? What do you really think is the role of the state in encouraging innovation? Should we, often caricatured as a slow-moving behemoth, keep up to encouraging true innovation? Or should we be involved? Number 3, we talk about artificial intelligence and deep tech, often in the context of software. But the vision document emphasizes the rare rural zone. My question is, how do we ensure that deep tech doesn't just stay in Cyberabad? How do we incentivize capital to solve boring problems like increasing the productivity of a weaver in Warangal, or a farmer in Nizamabad or in Khammam, etc., etc. So friends, let us get started. And gentlemen, I request all of you to put all your heart and soul in this session and give us your valuable ideas and suggestions. And also I thank you once again for coming all the way from all of the, not only from the states, different states of this country, even from all over the world, for, making it a grand, successful event of Telangana Rising 2047 Vision Document Release Function. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks a lot, sir, for your speech. It was very illuminating and set the context rightly, that how does deep tech not just stay inside and solve real problems. So now I will kind of ask questions to all the panelists, but let me just be a bit elaborate on what the context of the whole thing was. So as I said earlier that, you know, we and also Honorable Deputy CM mentioned that when we began this exercise, we learned that if things stay as they are, then Telangana will basically reach $1.2 trillion by 2047. So quite far from its aspiration of 3. And so we realized that the only way it can reach 3 trillion is by improving productivity and by making sustained investments. So sustained investments in particular means attracting FDI. So events like these serve a great purpose. And sustained innovation or productivity will come from innovation. So we have outlined a series of initiatives to foster innovation. One of them is called the Telangana Scientific Return Program, where what we are proposing is that Telangana offers outsized rewards, that is strong monetary rewards to superstar scientists. So scientists who are leading in, say, AI, computer vision, quantum computing, all of these fields, which are the fields for the future, we give them steep rewards and lure them back to Telangana. So this was, and then we have outlined several other initiatives in that chapter that you will see in the Telangana vision document. But then I would first like to get the perspective of Shri Krishna Bhaskar as a policy maker. So, you know, he is someone who, as an engineer, understands the technology very well, as an economist, understands incentives very well, and as a bureaucrat, understands the challenges very well. So I thought I would begin by asking him, how does he view the whole exercise, what we have done or attempted to do in proposing how Telangana will become, as sir said, the hub of global or Asia's hub of innovation, what he sees as the practical challenges and what he sees as the not just challenges but opportunities. Over to you.
Thanks, Aditya. I hope I'm audible. So the idea is essentially, we've set ourselves, thank you, sir. We've set ourselves a goal which is, frankly speaking, unprecedented in economic history. And I believe it has been done after a lot of cogitation on this respect. And the analogy which comes to mind when I think of this is, back in the early 60s, and in fact late 50s, when the USSR beat the US in the rocket race and launched Sputnik, there was a lot of despondency. That very term, which is very, I think it's best translated in the Urdu term Mayusi, on all of America, that the Soviets had actually beaten us in the space race. There's nothing left for us there. At that point of time, John F. Kennedy came up with a very mission which sounded extremely outlandish and impossible. I think it was back in 1961, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely the early 60s, 60 or 61, just after he took over as president. When the Soviets beat the Americans and the entire world was talking about the technological superiority of the USSR vis-a-vis the US, he said something audacious which no one was prepared for. He said, by the end of this decade, we'll put a man on the moon. And he was ridiculed in the American media for it. And it wasn't deemed possible. But the sheer force of that public pronouncement and the sheer passion and the aggression behind setting a goal for the nation as a whole got all of them together. And I still remember there were people like Werner von Braun. He was originally a Nazi, a German scientist who built their rockets, the Saturn rockets. All of these people heard of this vision and became even more passionate and motivated than they originally were. And NASA, which until then never used to get a lot of funding, and which was never a big agency, captured the American imagination. So there are some things in life you can create or you can will by making them publicly available in the mind space of every citizen. And they may not happen otherwise. And in my sense, this $3 trillion goal is an extremely ambitious goal. Forget about your annualized growth rate of 13-14%. If you take into account your rupee depreciation, you're looking at 17-18%. And this is year on year for 22 years. It's a very, very, very ambitious goal. But the thing is, if you aim at that sort of galaxy, you will be able to get through some sort of critical mass, which will take you to places which you haven't otherwise been taken. So I believe, in terms of a stretch goal, this is like a clarion call to the entire state, its network of innovators, entrepreneurs, policymakers, to try to figure out what is it exactly, what it is the constraint which prevents us going there. I'll just add to that, you asked me to talk about challenges. I think the challenges, our Honorable Deputy CM has stated very clearly. We cannot get there by building more stadia, we cannot get there by building more roads. That will at best take us to 1 trillion, and even that is in doubt. Because after a point you have diminishing returns. The idea is, and as both Aditya and Prasanna have very eloquently argued in their own document, our vision document which will be released today. The idea is you need to increase your own productivity. That secret sauce which allows people to provide more innovation and more output per hour, per capita. And for that, there is no way out but to actively encourage the best in the world to come, set up shop here, create new ideas, create new products, and somehow create an innovation ecosystem. Just like John F. Kennedy, by making a public pronouncement of making a man on the moon, somehow made it happen. We need to, keeping such a stretch goal, need to make this happen just by making all of us conscious and utilizing all of our bandwidth to ensuring that we don't just do our best, but we have the context to do our best. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Krishna, for that very eloquent answer. And it was great to hear the story of NASA and sending a man to the moon